How do you see the supply chain world changing in the next 3 to 5 years, and how should future leaders prepare themselves for those changes?
That is just a tremendous question. Supply chains have evolved quite a bit over the last decade and continue to evolve with e-commerce, the Internet of Things, the more global nature of supply chains, the ability for more competitors to come on the scene for most goods and services. So it's not just big players competing. It's a lot of small players where there's a low cost of entry. So the nature of supply chains have morphed over the last decade. I think that's going to just continue to escalate over the next 3 to 5 years. It's going to continue to evolve. And so when we think about how we plan in our supply chains and where we source, companies are going to have to be strategic, flexible, and agile in how they respond to the external factors that are shaping what's going on in the supply chain right now. And so I think what companies need to do and what leaders need to do is really stay aware of how things are evolving. So often our plans are so set in stone. When we create a supply chain strategy, we've usually invested quite a bit. And this is the way we want it to be for the next 10 to 20 years. And anymore, companies need to be able to, with speed and agility, make adjustments to that supply chain strategy based on what's going on externally and even internally with resources. When you get locked into a solution and you've invested, especially if you've invested capital and other resources into that solution, it's harder to pivot. Finding ways to be flexible, to be able to make a pivot when you need to is going to be important. COVID was a great example. In regions where we were able to pivot in our supply chain, we were more successful in getting back to an almost normal environment. In regions where we didn't have the capability to pivot, the recovery took the longer time. So we've learned quite a bit in our business around what are the things that we can do differently and learn from our other regions to build in that same kind of flexibility so that we can pivot faster when needed.